Pleased to meet you.
I'm pleased to meet you, sir.
Oh.
Quentin Tarantino is an iconic American director, screenwriter, producer, and actor. Being self-taught, he ignores the laws of the film industry, mixes genres, and shows the incredible possibilities of cinema, changing the course of events that took place in reality on the screen. In this video, we'll discuss the life and career of this unique talent.
The movie yet, sir, but...
No worries. No worries at all. Don't worry. Don't be sorry about that. You know, it's just that's why God invented it.
Quentin Tarantino, how the iconic director lives and how much he earns. Quentin Jerome Tarantino was born in Knoxville, Tennessee on March 27, 1963. His mom, Connie, left her parents' house early, marrying a guy named Tony at the age of 15. Their marriage soon ended, but the girl was already pregnant. However, she found out about it only after the divorce. Neither Connie nor Quentin spoke to Tony ever again, even though he worked in Hollywood. By the way, our hero's grandfather, Dominic Tarantino, also starred in westerns of the early 1930s. 3 years after giving birth to her son, Connie moved to Los Angeles, got a job as a nurse, and remarried the piano player Curtis Stupel. Quentin had his stepfather's surname as a child, but decided to take a more euphonious Tarantino at 16. Interesting fact, at birth, his name was Quint, but later his mother renamed him after the character of the novel The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. Curtis worked nights, so Quentin spent time with him and his friends during the day, mostly watching TV series and shows. In addition, the family often visited the cinema. At an early age, the future director watched such movies as Carnal Knowledge and Deliverance, although now they are rated 16+. The boy's favorite movie was the horror comedy Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. When Quentin was 8 years old, Connie and Curtis divorced. After this, the boy was often on his own and had problems at school. His academic performance and discipline worsened each year. Instead of doing homework, he seriously considered becoming a writer. In his teens, he wrote a script about a thief who robs pizzerias. However, Quentin's mother ridiculed his writing abilities, so he swore he would never share his wealth with her. He kept his word, and Connie didn't get a cent from her son. In his films, Quentin depicts criminals and characters who commit terrible things. However, in his entire life, he was only caught by shoplifting Elmore Leonard's novel from a bookstore. He was 15 then, and his mother grounded him. He was allowed to leave the house only to attend the Torrance Community Theater. Acting fascinated our hero so much that he decided to drop out of school and develop in this direction. His mother reluctantly agreed to this, but on the condition that he would find a job. She hoped that an adult life would quickly sober Quentin up, and he would return to school and enroll in college. But the guy decided to follow his dream. First of all, he secured a stable income by getting a job as a waiter in a cinema for adult movies. To do this, he had to lie about his age. Then, he briefly worked as a recruiter in the aerospace industry and spent his free time on acting courses and auditions. Quentin's longest job was in the Video Archives movie store located in Manhattan Beach, California. During the 5 years he spent there, he earned a reputation as a guy who knows everything about cinema. There, he met his future co-author, Roger Avery, and started working on the first film called My Best Friend's Birthday. They filmed the movie from 1984 to 1986, and Tarantino and his colleagues in the Video Archives played all the roles. The friends invested every dollar in the project, but most of the footage got burned in a fire in the film lab. The surviving 36 minutes of the movie are available online, and the fans made a transcript of the script. Despite the setback, Quentin considers those shootings the best decision of his life. In 1986, Tarantino received the position of assistant producer of Dolph Lundgren's Maximum Potential video training and began writing the script for True Romance. For several years, he tried to start production, but everyone refused. Hence, he decided to sell his work to earn money. In 1988, Quentin got a small role as an Elvis impersonator in the TV series The Golden Girls, for which he received about a $650 fee, and thanks to frequent reruns of the episode with his participation, the amount increased to $3,000. Meanwhile, luck was on Tarantino's side. His script for the movie Reservoir Dogs fell into the hands of the famous actor Harvey Keitel. he helped launch the project and agreed to play one of the lead roles. But there was not enough money. To earn it, Quentin sold another script. It later turned into the movie Natural Born Killers. To save money on production, the actors wore their own clothes. Plus, they released the picture without any promotion.
Got blind, man. Got blind.
You're not blind, you just got blood in your eyes, alright?
Famous Hollywood makeup artist and special effects master Robert Kurtzman worked on Reservoir Dogs for free in exchange for Tarantino's help in creating the idea that became the basis of the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. Despite the small budget, offering a role in the movie to James Woods, Quentin raised the amount of his fee 5 times, but it was still not enough compared to the actor's usual earnings. Hence, the agent didn't even tell him about the offer. When Tarantino told Woods this story years later, the latter immediately fired the agent. Interesting fact, the picture's name is a combination of the names of Goodbye Children and Straw Dogs, but not knowing French, Quentin misspelled the first word. The plot resembles the Hong Kong action movie City on Fire, and another action movie, A Better Tomorrow 2, inspired the images of the characters with their black suits, white shirts, and black ties. Our hero planned to play Mr. Pink, especially since his behavior resembled the young Tarantino. He admits that earlier, when he did not have the opportunity to leave a tip, he had the same motives as Mr. Pink in one of the scenes. As a result, Quentin played the role of Mr. Brown. The premiere of Reservoir Dogs took place at the beginning of 1992, and the movie received critical acclaim. But not everyone appreciated the scenes of violence. The audience often left the theater in the middle of the film. It was the beginning of Tarantino's love of ostentatious cruelty on the screen, non-linear narrative, and references to pop culture. One should note that the director does not tolerate violence in real life, but in films, bloody scenes help to evoke emotions in the audience. After the premiere, Quentin began an affair with comedian Margaret Cho, whom he met in a bar in Los Angeles. In the same year, he appeared in the movie Eddie Presley in the minor role of an asylum attendant. Due to the success of Reservoir Dogs, the studios started paying attention to the talented director. He was offered a job in major projects like Men in Black, but instead, Quentin went to Amsterdam to write the script for Pulp Fiction. There, he often visited a Betty Boop coffee shop. In addition, he worked on the scripts of several movies released in the 90s, the comedy It's Pat, and the action movies Crimson Tide and The Rock. However, his name wasn't in the credits. Almost every actor agreed to star in Pulp Fiction right away. However, Uma Thurman initially declined the offer to play Mia Wallace, but Tarantino, who saw only her in this role, read the script to the actress over the phone and eventually convinced her to agree. Quentin also planned to appear in the picture but could not decide who to play, Jimmy or Lance. As a result, he chose Jimmy because Lance is involved in a complex scene of Mia's resurrection, during which the director should be behind the camera.
You wanna f my shit up? You're f***ing my shit up right now! You're gonna f my shit up big time if Bonnie comes home. So just do me that favor, all right? The phone is in my bedroom. I suggest you get going.
One of the roles went to Quentin's new girlfriend, comedian Kathy Griffin. She later admitted that their relationship remained platonic, even though the man was very much in love. It's worth mentioning that the classic 1964 Chevrolet Malibu, which Vincent Vega drove, belonged to Tarantino. But right during the movie's production, the car got stolen, and it took the police almost 20 years to return it to its owner. In Pulp Fiction, our hero again referenced pop culture and crucial events from his life. Moreover, their integration into the plot is harmonious. For example, the director took the quote of the prophet Ezekiel, uttered by the character of Samuel L. Jackson from the 1973 movie Karate Kiba. There, it was the quote of Sonny Chiba, of whom our hero is a fan. Tarantino received a Palme d'Or in Cannes, an Oscar, a Golden Globe, and a BAFTA for the script in tandem with Roger Avary. He also received nominations for these awards as a director. In 1994, Quentin starred in the movies Sleep With Me and Somebody to Love, and the following year in the comedy Destiny Turns on the Radio and Robert Rodriguez's action movie Desperado. The role in the latter was written specifically for him.
Actually, good work, by the way. I just want to say this. Good work. It's nice to see that you cross the I's and dot the T's here. That's it's a cool essay. Cool. Lead the way. Okay.
Also in 1995, directors Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, Allison Anders, and Alexander Rockwell presented the movie 4 Rooms, consisting of short stories united by one hero.
Hi, man, I'm not a frog and you're not a bunny, so let's not jump ahead.
Very good, sir.
Critics did not really like this almanac, but Quentin was happy to experiment, including with the timing. The shooting of his fragment took only 2 days. Meanwhile, Quentin's personal life was also in motion, and he began dating actress Mia Sorvino. This couple seemed strange to many people. However, they had common interests, a love of Eastern culture and cinema. Their romance lasted about 2 years. During this time, the director presented to the public the result of his cooperation with Robert Rodriguez from Dusk Till Dawn, a picture about vampires in which Tarantino also appeared as an actor. He also finalized the idea of the script as promised to Robert Kurtzman during the filming of Reservoir Dogs.
Low profile. You understand the word low profile?
Hey, Richie, how's your hand? It hurts like a f***ing
Let me tell you what
Sam,
low
thanks for
profile is
asking.
not.
Initially, Quentin was supposed to sit in the director's chair but decided to give it to Rodriguez. Fun fact, he was nominated for Golden Raspberry as the worst actor and Saturn as the best. The movie's script also received a nomination for the latter. Then, as an actor, he appeared in cameo roles in the movies Girl 6 and Curdled, being a co-author of the script for the latter. As a director and screenwriter, he presented the crime drama Jackie Brown based on the novel Rum Punch by Elmore Leonard. This time, he decided to stay behind the scenes, but his voice still sounded in the movie as a voice on Jackie's answering machine. The film participated in the Berlin Film Festival and got a nomination for the Golden Bear. In 1998, our hero made his Broadway debut as an immoral psychopath in the play Wait Until Dark. But his performance received unflattering reviews from critics. In 2000, viewers saw him in the comedy Little Nicky as a blind deacon, and a few years later in several episodes of the series Alias. All this time, Tarantino worked on another project, the Kill Bill duology. The idea came soon after the director met Uma Thurman on the set of Pulp Fiction. However, production was postponed all the time for various reasons: the disinterest of studios, Quentin's dissatisfaction with the script, and Thurman's pregnancy. Also, rumors said Tarantino and Thurman had an affair, but they denied it. The source of inspiration for a director was an old Asian martial arts film. He compiled a list of movies for cinematographer Robert Richardson to watch to achieve the desired video sequence. For the same purpose, he banned special effects. Tarantino came up with new scenes during filming, which complicated the editing because there was too much material. By the way, black and white moments also appeared in the movies during editing. It was the request of the Ratings Commission. While filming one of the scenes, Quentin accidentally received a painful blow with the Chinese cold weapon called the Meteor Hammer, used in the fight scene of Go-Go with Beatrix. In this project, Quentin again collaborated with his good friend Robert Rodriguez. Tarantino paid his friend $1 for the music for the movie. As in Pulp Fiction, the director's car appears in the frame, a yellow Chevrolet called a Pussy Wagon. The car became so popular and recognizable that our hero had to stop driving it. Moreover, one can see this car in Lady Gaga and Beyoncé's music video for their song. The first volume of Kill Bill was released in 2003, and the second one in 2004. Known for disliking product placement and always using fictional brands in films, Quentin made an exception to his own rules in this movie. The bread Bill uses for sandwiches, Bimbo, is a real-life brand popular in Mexico. Duology received nominations for the Saturn Award for directing and screenplay. Tarantino stated that someday he would make 2 more movies in the Kill Bill universe, an anime with a backstory of divas, and a film about the grown-up daughter of Vernita Green. However, he has not yet implemented these plans. By the way, Quentin had a short romantic affair with the actress who played Vernita, Vivica Fox. After that, he began an affair with a colleague, Sofia Coppola. They were together for a short time and remained friends after parting. Their connection was recalled in 2010 when Tarantino joined the jury of the Venice Film Festival, where Sofia received an award for her movie Somewhere. People accused our hero of bias, but he denied it, drawing attention to the fact that it was a collective decision. In 2005, Quentin appeared in the musical fantasy The Muppets Wizard of Oz as himself, voiced an episode of the animated series Duck Dodgers, and directed and wrote the script for the finale of the 5th season of CSI Crime Scene Investigation. For the latter, he received an Emmy nomination. In addition, he paid off the debt to Rodriguez, directing one of the scenes of the movie Sin City for $1. Another occupation of the filmmaker was producing. The projects that he did not direct but helped to create include the films Hostel, Daltrey Calhoun, Freedom's Fury, and others. In 2007, Tarantino and his friend Rodriguez presented to the public a joint project called Grindhouse, consisting of 2 films and 4 fake trailers. Robert directed the zombie horror Planet Terror, and Quentin directed the black comedy Death Proof. In both parts, Quentin appeared as an actor, in the first one as one of the zombies, and in the second one as a bartender.
Well, technically, I really don't know if he's ever done anything for sure. I mean, shows me an episode of Ah Chaparral, a guy falls off a horse, he says it's him.
Both pictures were a box office failure and received negative ratings during release, and yet Death Proof was still nominated for the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. In the same year, our hero's filmography was enriched by the movie Sukiyaki Western Django. In 2009, he was a director of the movie based on his script, the war film Inglourious Basterds. It took him 10 years to implement the idea, and the result exceeded all expectations. The movie became the highest grossing in the United States and Canada during the first screening weekend and received nominations for major awards. Tarantino was nominated for Oscar, Golden Globe, BAFTA, and Saturn for Best Director and Best Original Screenplay. In his next movie, Django Unchained, in 2012, Tarantino paid tribute to another of his favorite genres, spaghetti westerns.
A little doing them off for you, black buster flavor.
It took 130 days to shoot the picture, which was the longest shooting of Quentin, except for his first work. It was another success. In addition to many nominations as a director, he received an Oscar, a Golden Globe, a BAFTA, and a Saturn for his screenplay. In 2004, the famous director played himself in the comedy film She's Funny That Way, and a year later, he released his movie The Hateful Eight. It's worth mentioning that Tarantino refused to continue working on the picture after the script got leaked on the internet. However, he succumbed to the persuasions of the film crew, especially Samuel L. Jackson. They filmed this nearly 3-hour story in the Rocky Mountains in winter, and everyone suffered from the cold. But Quentin insisted on realism, so the actors walked in real snow during filming. The script of The Hateful Eight received nominations for the BAFTA and Golden Globe Awards. At the end of 2015, Quentin Tarantino's star appeared on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. As for his personal life, he started dating a charming Israeli singer, Daniela Pick. They met back in 2009 during the Inglourious Basterds promo campaign, but soon broke up. The man said he preferred making movies rather than starting a family. However, in 2017, he and Daniela announced their engagement, and on November 18, they had a secret wedding in Los Angeles. At that time, the director was working on an alternative version of the story about Charles Manson and his cult, which premiered in 2019. Interestingly, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was conceived as a novel. Quentin was engaged in writing it for 5 years until he realized that the material was more suitable for a screenplay. The book, however, still came out a few years later. By the way, our hero also wrote the book Cinema Speculation. Soon, he will publish another one called The Films of Rick Dalton, a fictional biography of the Tarantino character. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was accompanied by a scandal due to the appearance of Bruce Lee. Tarantino showed him hysterical and pretentious, which caused dissatisfaction with the daughter of the late actor. Perhaps that's why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood wasn't released in China, where Bruce Lee is like a national hero. It significantly reduced the box office, but Quentin refused to cut or change the scene. The film received many awards. Quentin won the Golden Globe and Saturn for Best Screenplay and received nominations for BAFTA and Oscar. By the way, it wasn't the first scandal the famous director got into.
You go something to something, mate, you say it.
His favorite, Uma Thurman, accused Quentin of having a serious accident on the set of Kill Bill. He also turned a blind eye to the actions of Harvey Weinstein. Tarantino himself was not involved in harassment, but according to him, he knew enough to do more to protect actresses. In February 2020, our hero became a father for the first time. He and his wife had a son, Leo, named after Daniela's grandfather and not Leonardo DiCaprio, as many thought. In 2022, the couple welcomed their second child, daughter Adriana. During the same year, the audience heard Quentin's voice in the TV series Super Pumped. After the full-scale invasion of the Russian army in Ukraine, the director condemned Vladimir Putin's actions and called on his numerous Instagram followers to provide financial assistance to the armed forces of Ukraine. Now Tarantino is preparing to film the Western Django and Zorro and the TV series Bounty Law. He's also working on the drama The Movie Critic, which will presumably be Quentin's last film. Tarantino stated his plans to retire after his 10th major film. After this, he will write plays, novels, and books on cinema history and work as a theater director. Tarantino's net worth is around $120 million, and the usual advance payment for his work is $20 million. He is also entitled to a share of the profit, which sometimes reaches $30 to $40 million per film. Interestingly, among the assets of our hero is the Beverly Cinema in Los Angeles, which he often went to as a child. Monthly $5,000 payments helped to keep the cinema afloat, and in 2014, Tarantino became the rightful owner, personally arranging its program. In 2021, it became known that he would sell 7 cut scenes from Pulp Fiction as NFTs, but no one knows the results of the transaction. Although Quentin prefers not to advertise brands in films, he has become the face of advertising campaigns several times in real life. For the Japanese satellite television network Perfect TV and the Japanese telecommunications company SoftBank. As for real estate, Tarantino tries to remain anonymous, buying houses through his trust. However, the journalist found out that he has a mansion with an area of 8,600 square feet in the Hollywood Hills. Quentin bought it in the late 90s for $2.7 million. Aerial images show an outdoor swimming pool with a diving board in the courtyard. In 2018, robbers tried to break into the house, but Tarantino was inside and scared them away. In 1998, the director paid $680,000 for an apartment in New York in a prestigious building in Manhattan. And now, he and his family live in Israel, perhaps renting or having purchased a villa in a quiet area north of Tel Aviv. The celebrity can often be seen on a walk or during shopping. In addition to the already mentioned Chevrolet Malibu and a bright yellow pickup truck of the same brand, Quentin has a classic Cadillac. The director was seen driving this car in Los Angeles. Quentin's name will forever remain in the history of cinema. His style is so recognizable that the Oxford Dictionary introduced the word Tarantino-esque, meaning films with graphic and stylized violence, nonlinear storylines, movie quotes, satire, and sharp dialogues. Do you like Tarantino's works?
Honey, if we're gonna get to the Sonny Chico triple feature, we need to leave right now.
As a kung fu actor, he's...
If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything interesting.